I've been playing this game on and off since release, and I've been creating YouTube content since 2017. And despite more than 4,000 hours of playtime and 185 uploads to YouTube, I've never actually built a proper airport. And if you were to search for airport on my channel, what you'll find is a super old video where I placed down the pre-built airport of the game at the time. And even though it's literally pre-built, I made sure to make a disclaimer highlighting that I know nothing of airports, which also became obvious in the video. Anyways, 6 years has passed and I still know nothing of airports, so why not jump headfirst into creating one in my most detailed series to date and with the expansive features of an entire DLC dedicated to airports. Yeah, this can only go well. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this episode, building a detailed international airport to serve the entire region. Now whether you're new or regular here on the channel, you're very welcome as we are building the highly detailed region of Coniferia, a fictional place drawing inspiration from the US, Australia, New Zealand and Canada. And if you want to help out and see even more content, hit the like button and subscribe if you don't want to miss out. Thank you. Alright, so there are a few things that we just need to start off with before we just manically place down an international airport here on the map. The first one is we need to agree on the scale. We like to try and build things to look realistic in this series, but as with everything else, we're going to have to create like a scaled down version of an international airport. Because if you've ever been to one of these in real life, you'll realize just how massive they are. I'm pretty certain that if we were to attempt to build one in real life scale, the extent of it would be like, it would probably be bigger than the entire city of Pine Harbour and its adjacent suburbs. And that's gonna look really odd and out of place, and it would also provide a huge issue in where do we actually place it. Because having now agreed on a smaller scale, or at least I've agreed with myself, you guys are in for the ride, I hope you agree as well, we need to place it somewhere. And Coniferia as a region isn't exactly the most like airport friendly geography. We do have a pretty big landmass here, the mainland basically, but much of it is comprised of these mountain ranges that just become more and more steep the further inland you get. We do have like open farm fields here, which would probably be an ideal location. And the reason I'm saying probably and won't go with these is that I feel it would, for one, it would be a little too boring. I'm looking for a little more of a challenge, which may or may not be a good idea considering I haven't built an airport before, but anyways, we'll find out, I guess. So that's the one thing, I think it would be a little too boring. But additionally, I don't want the airport to be closest to Pine Harbour. I want it to be closest to Port Douglas, or at least as well connected to Port Douglas as Pine Harbour. Because while you may fly in to do business or visit Pine Harbour, there is a greater chance that you're flying in to visit Port Douglas or do business in Port Douglas. It is the regional capital, and I think that with all the progress we've made, that really shows. It's the financial and, you know, political hub of the entire region. So Port Douglas is like the main draw for at least international guests and probably domestic visitors as well. So that's a criteria. I want the airport to be as well connected to Port Douglas as Pine Harbour and possibly even closer. So I had also considered placing the airport on this big island out here, but I just don't think that would be realistic and it's gonna be a real squeeze to try and fit it in. Then I considered this big island out here because we've actually got some pretty flat terrain here where you could place an airport. But I've chosen to opt out of that as well because I don't think we're gonna have time to also develop the island before Cities Skylines 2. We are gonna have to wrap up this series at some point this year, likely when the new game arrives. So what I'm thinking is that we've got a spot out here which is quite hilly and mountainous. So we are going to have to, you know, get our big boy guard mode pants on and do some extensive terraforming to make this flat. But I feel it's a pretty good location. It is, as you guys can see, we've got very ample highway connections that run through the region here, both to Pine Harbour and its suburbs, and of course directly to Port Douglas. But more importantly, We've also already got an established railway network, which you can see in action here, that connects to Pine Harbour. It connects to, it has a couple of stops in the suburbs surrounding Pine Harbour. And of course, it terminates in here at the central station in Port Douglas. So we've got that covered as well. So building an airport out here, we should be able to relatively easily expand this infrastructure so that we are also covering the airport. So this is the place we're going to be working with. Like I said, it's going to need some big boy terraforming to suit our needs though, because it is really not flat. And I hoped that I could have avoided this, but I don't think that's the case. Not with this map at least. We are going to have to take some liberties here. Quite a bit actually. So I'm just gonna terraform this whole thing, because obviously the airport is gonna be pretty big. And then I'll add in some hills and mountain ranges and maybe, you know, a few rivers and stuff afterwards when we have the overall scale of the airport in place. And the runways are probably gonna be the entire length of Port Douglas, so I think this is a pretty good fit. Let's just let the water drain out. And look at this beautiful, freshly paved, I was about to say, it's not really paved though, freshly flattened by an act of God. Beautiful piece of land, and we can see all the job issues in the city, but we're not fixing the city, we're just spending all our money on an airport. Anyways, we need to just paint out the district first, and then I've got a few interesting ideas I want to share with you guys about the nature of this airport, or at least the plan I have. That's right, I do actually have a bit of a plan, so I am looking very much forward to that. And I'm going to change the layout here to make room for my plan. I don't have any more soil. All right. Give me soil. And of course this is gonna cause more issues with the water, so we'll wait a bit more. Alright, so we've just got the Dead Sea moving at a super slow pace here, so I think it's time for me to reveal my master plan. We just need to name it first. How about CIA? Coniferia International Airport. I'm so clever and funny. Anyways, I was planning to have the airport in kind of 2 steps basically, or I guess you could say 2 phases. I'm just gonna pause because we're gonna burn through a ton of money now. I don't actually know how much an airport costs, but I imagine it's rather expensive. So I'd like to have an older part of the airport that is currently undergoing a bit of renovation, and this older part is primarily serving smaller aircraft and primarily domestic flights. And then we'll have a expanded, newer and more renovated part, which is primarily geared towards international flights. But I also want 2 runways to signify this. So I'll try to show you guys what I mean. So if we just place down, like as a starter, we'll place down a terminal for the older domestic part, okay? And we'll just place it down. I think we need good clearance for the runway, of course. So we'll be placing it about here. And it's in this classic style, or maybe it should actually be in the modern. Let's just have a look at how this classic style looks. It's got this kind of orange tint. Ooh, got these real 70s vibes. You can almost hear the disco music through the windows. So let's see, do we want classic or do we want this style, which is modern but not too modern? Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? I think we're gonna go with the modern one, and then we'll have the ultra modern one for the international part, because the ultra modern one just looks very cool. So here we've got the modern airport terminal. So yeah, remember this is the first terminal that was built and yet to be renovated. so it handles primarily domestic passengers. And of course we'll need a bit of a concourse as well. And we'll just draw out a really simple design now for this concourse, and not too big either. So we'll just go like 20 on either side. That's perfect. We'll need a runway for this part of the airport. So I'm going to place that now. And I think if I go for like a lighter shade of gray, that is going to easily, it's going to make us able to distinguish between the original, the first runway, and the new one that handles international flights. So let's say if we can go like, that's maybe, let's see, I just want to make sure you don't have to go across super high mountains when you take off, because that's obviously gonna make the crew a little anxious. So let's just come down here and we'll go to like 170. So if we start about here, we can just cut off the end, of course. So that would be about 170. But I need more, I need a bit more room. Actually, if I place down a small aircraft stand, that's probably gonna help me a bit more with placing the runways. Because that's what I'm gonna need to like make sure I have clearance. And I don't have clearance here, but I do have enough clearance here, I feel. So I'll go back a little more, so that we can do 179 maybe. Let's just try and place this and we'll have a look. I think that looks pretty okay. So this is the original runway, the original terminal, and the smaller passenger crafts that are primarily handling domestic flights. Then of course we're going to need the more modern part, and for that I'd like to use this large ultra modern terminal. But I do feel that maybe I need a bit more concourse to actually make that work. Let's just see how this looks. I'm just trying to make sure the road is angled really nicely and straight. And it probably is if I do like this. We'll just try and place it, because it's all about checking the scale a couple of times. And I think that's okay, although I would switch this concourse out with the modern style connection here. There you go. That looks better. And then the construction props would be around this area to like kind of showcase the ongoing renovation of the original terminal and concourse. But yeah, we're gonna wait a little more with that, because that's a little more complex. Now we just need the overall layout. So we need the second runway, and I'm going to make that substantially darker because it is much newer, almost freshly paved, I want to say. And we'll just see if we can get our 179 to line up. So I'll just try and place it here at this crossing. So that's obviously fine. And this is, I mean, it's all right, I think. It's gonna require some skill, but I think this is all right. If you're an aircraft, airport nerd, and remember guys, whenever I say nerd, I mean that in the best possible way. I love nerds, and I love being nerdy about things I care about. Please let me know if this is completely unrealistic, because we might want to then flatten this terrain a bit, but I think the approach angle is all right here. I assume you'd approach from about here, something like that. All right. Anyways, we've got the setup kind of fixed up now. I think what I would like to do is add just a tiny stretch more of additional concourse here. Could even go kind of bendy like this. Are we gonna do that? We're gonna go 120 and 2 out like so. That is the weirdest airport shape that I have ever seen. I love it. Maybe a concourse more here, or are we getting into like ridiculous levels here? I really don't know. We'll just place it. We can always remove it. There we go. We'll have our cranes here to highlight the transition, and something I'd like to do as well is just see if I can make the original terminal or concourse, sorry, seem just a tiny bit slimmer. So I'll just go down to 90. Yoink. And the same for the end here. There you go. I think that's going to be our overall initial layout. We're going to need to place down a control tower, and of course I assume that the original construction had a control tower in place. Then perhaps we have an ultra modern control tower in place as well. Then the modern one might not be used all that much anymore, and as part of the renovation maybe it's going to be completely removed. Next up, let's just place down some aircraft stands so that we get like an overall idea of how many, like the capacity of the airport, how many planes we can expect to see. And I don't think I'm going to opt for any of the large aircraft stands. I'm just gonna go for medium aircraft stands as the biggest stands currently. Because I don't really, I mean, this is a relatively young international airport. Or at least it's pretty small. So I don't think it makes all that much sense to have like massive capacity for, you know, some of the biggest Airbus planes, etc. Right now, at least. And I think it's probably easier if I just use move it to place these. If I can, there's something completely wrong with my view here. It's because I have the menu open. There you go. So I'm gonna delete this one, and then I'll place one somewhere like this, and then we'll just move it because I want them to be sort of aligned. And I'll move it real close in here. And we'll go like this. And I'm just letting the edge here, as well as the edge of the road here, be like my guidance for where to place these. I don't know if it's super realistic, but it's just to ensure that the placement is sort of similar across the board. I think that looks pretty good. We've got capacity for 4 medium and of course smaller airplanes here, which is quite good, I feel. Let's see over here, can we fit in? Maybe we should remove this concourse. It does look a bit odd, doesn't it? And I'll place one here and we'll move that, or copy paste that rather, to ensure alignment. And I'm gonna try to make it sort of symmetrical. No, that's a bit odd, but something like this maybe. Does it actually connect? It does not. Okay, so a bit further out. Here we go. And we'll do the same here. We're gonna use the edge of the road here to be the guidance for the cargo trucks. And then of course use this edge to be the edge we center on as well. So we'll go like this, and we'll do the same over here. Perfect. Or good enough, I guess I should say. And then question is if we want a few stops as well, or if that's actually what we need. Do we actually need this concourse? Man, maybe I should have researched a thing or two about like airport capacity or something, because oh, that was wrong. I'm not feeling at home in this theme. I think that's safe to say. So let's see, we've got capacity for what? 7 medium-sized airplanes for primarily international flights. I think that's pretty good, right? It's not bad. But that's not a whole lot either. So maybe we do need like a concourse for additional capacity. And we could maybe just continue this like so. That should give us 2 more at least. Let's try that out. It's actually going to give us 3, or at least I'm going to make it give us 3, and that should be sufficient. That should be all we need. Awesome, I think that looks pretty good. I kind of like the shape of this airport because it means that, you know, the highway connection that we'll create from over here is gonna swoop in here, turn into like a one-laner. Not one lane, sorry, one direction of course. Then it's going to come in here, it's going to cross, it's going to connect up here, and then it's going to, you know, make contact again and continue as like a normal highway segment. So that's pretty cool, and this should also give us plenty of room for some public transportation, which we are of course going to need to actually serve this airport. We of course need airport stands as well for the original domestic terminal, and I'm thinking we are actually going to have like a medium stand that would be able to handle some prioritized flights. Then we're gonna switch to smaller stands. And I'll have one at about this distance, and I don't think I'll just place one now, but we might remove it if we're doing this idea ahead with ongoing renovations. And I'm just winging the distance here. You guys know how I am. There you go. Let's have a look. That looks pretty good, I think. Yeah. I think next up we are connecting the whole mess up through taxiways. So how does these work? You want out here and in here, and the same for over here and down here as well. All right, so let's see. How much up do we need to go? Maybe 6 units. Is that far enough? We'll try with 7. And then we'll just cut all the way through here. Actually, we'll cut all the way down here, I think. Yes. And we'll do the same over here. Go 7. We'll cut through. We can always remove some segments. This is just to ensure that we have proper alignment. Nice. Because this needs to be an intersection. Can we connect a node here? Or create like a crossing? There is like a nice tool we can use for this, right? I don't know, I'm gonna do it manually. Let's see. Just drag straight into this and onwards. Very nice. Cool. Although I am starting to doubt whether you would actually just cross a runway like this with a taxiway. Guys, I'm gonna need some more help here. I really don't know. But I mean, you would kind of have to, right? Oh man, I'm really doubting whether that's gonna work. Anyways, we can just connect up what I know needs to be done as a start, and then I'll worry about those details later. Just go down here. And then I'm hoping I can connect all these by 180 degrees. And it seems I can. So that's wonderful. And I hope the same is going to be the case here. These nodes for these airport taxiways are, luckily they are like super flexible. The textures they've used here. So you can connect them at really tight angles and you still get, you know, it still looks all right. There's not too much texture clipping or sea fighting. So that's very pleasant. All right. That looks pretty good, I feel. Let's just zoom out and have like a bit of a look. The taxiways, I'm really not too sure about those. Which reminds me, I'm going to need like service roads as well, right? Let's see if we've got some stuff here. We've got these cool service roads that I downloaded from the workshop. Let's just see which version we like more. That one is really nice. I think we're gonna go with the version here with the yellow maybe. Yeah, that's a nice one. So let's just get these out of the way. And then we'll start adding these, and we'll add these completely random throughout because I don't know what I'm doing. And how does it look if I cross? It looks terrible. I won't be doing that. But can I connect? Yeah, sorta. And then if we go okay, so that it looks all right if we just lower it ever so slightly. And just keep in mind, this is just me just doing stuff, just adding stuff. And I'm aware some of it really might not make a whole lot of sense. But it does look pretty cool, right? It really does add something, I feel. But I'm a little doubtful whether these would actually be visible like on top of these. I don't think so. I think visibility would be prioritized for like the big taxiways. But yeah, once again, if you know, let me know, because I don't know. Now we're just continuing this theme throughout at least. I have to commit now. And we can always change this up, of course. So that looks alright. Down here looks pretty cool. Very interesting look. And yeah, no idea whether that makes any sense. But yeah, happy so far. So I've just done some digging on good old Google Maps, and it does seem indeed that taxiways can, of course, cross the runways. But using Copenhagen Airport as an example, some of the taxiways are also a little more bendy than the ones I have made. For whatever reason. So, I mean, I think it would be pretty cool if I add like a more bendy taxiway. But of course I can't connect it like this. But I can cross it like this, which I think I want to do then. So I'll create like a straight segment that crosses here. Or will I? I could alternatively... If we... Could be cool with some bends as well. So if we go like this, and we delete this middle segment, and maybe we just lower this ever so slightly. Can I grab these nodes? Make them look less invasive, like so. And then if we can create a bend from this one to connect. That looks very odd. What am I doing? I'll create like a... I can't create a straight segment here. I can create one here. And then I can curve onto that. Should be able to. Yes, there's my curve. And I'll just need to connect that then. I'm sorry, this is a bit of a detour. But yeah, I just wanted to create something a little more interesting looking, and I think I've achieved that. And we'll just lower this ever so slightly, the service roads for the smaller vehicles of the airport. And we'll connect up some service roads here as well, I think. So I've actually just moved the entire airport slightly north to give a little more room, you know, to separate the terminals, the concourses, and the stands for the airplanes just a bit more from this runway here. And I still feel that this taxiway is awfully close to planes that actually land and take off here. So I'm going to just move it to like grab the whole thing and move it a little further north, and this is gonna be quite the experiment. I hope I don't mess anything up. So let's just see if we can actually do this. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I feel we need a little more space. They're just, yeah, it's just too close for comfort. All right, that's okay. We can work with this. Although we'll need to move this as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of moving here. And I'm aware that these service roads should probably be a little further from the taxiways. Otherwise, you're looking into the eyes of the pilot while you're driving by, which might not be what you want, but that is going to be a fix for another time. For now, let's just take a little look. There's enough things going on here that I don't know anything about for me to actually be really happy about it. Because if I were to start explaining all decisions I've made and why, in good realistic airport planning terms, then I'd obviously have a bit of an issue. But I think we've got a really cool base to work with here, and it does have a bit of a unique look with the combination of these two different styles and all that. So happy so far. I think what I'd like to do now is to actually add some keys to the airport to just kind of I was about to say fence it in, but that doesn't make any sense at all. So it's basically just to kind of create like a more clear boundary. And I am hoping that I can use the parallel mode with these, because that would obviously make it a little easier. So if we start with this and we just align so that it's closer, don't want a ton of space surrounding it, and we hit OK. Then if we jump into our landscaping tools, we should be able to, maybe we can even just ease this in. Yeah, nah, it's probably better to actually go a bit more harsh about it. Whoosh. And I can already see now that there's an apparent issue with these keys. They're not the angled the correct way, so that's causing a bit of a terrain issue, which we can fortunately we should be able to correct it. We should be able to invert a segment like so, and as always we're gonna have to let nature do its thing and just adjust the water levels before we can continue. But what I want to do first is, we've got two nodes here. Can I actually join up these two? I can't. Why? These nodes have common segment. Not sure what that means, but okay. I had hoped that I could just join them, because that would enable me to create like a sharp angle here instead of this curvy one, which is not what I want. So for instance here, I've got a single node and I can just remove the offset to 0. I do think that looks a lot better actually. But maybe I can do some manual adjustment then. But a little manual adjustment and we're fine. When this one works fine. Cool, we'll let the water settle in. And while we do that, just look at the amount of planes we've got going now. Lots of... wow, lots of activity right out the gate. That's really awesome. And I'm loving just how these props are moving around as well with a bit of animation. We've got some catering services as well. That's really cool. As I told you guys, this is the first time I'm really trying to... this is the first time I'm building an airport with this DLC, so very excited to see this. And we'll let the water keep moving. I have a feeling this is kind of dangerous, really. Trying to depart with this much water on the runways. There are a few safety concerns we'll need to be fixing. And oh, that's a smart move. And amidst a full tsunami, we've got the very first takeoffs here from Coniferia International Airport. Very exciting stuff. That is awesome. Alright, so the episode is going to turn into a really long one, and we are definitely not gonna complete the airport within a single episode. Otherwise, it's gonna be 3 or 4 hours long, which is probably on the swole boy side. So something that we definitely need to do is connect the airport up to the city. Because we currently don't have any connections, and that's probably just going to break the airport. I also see that we have no active flights anymore, so I assume that's also related to no connection. I'd like the highway to... I'm thinking I don't want a connection across here, but I'll start with one over here that kind of covers the coastline here and rounds up at the airport, and then eventually we might create yet another interchange over here to create yet another connection. That could also look pretty cool, and we always love a bit of spaghetti. So I think for now I'm just going to connect up the roads here to the rest of the region. We're gonna need to change these roads first. So let's go and grab our network replacer. We've got a basic crossing road here, and preferably we have one of these bus lane roads instead. So I'm guessing it's a 2-lane road of some sort. Maybe if we add a space. Well, actually, we can check what these are named, right? Because we can click. I say that, but we can't. Interesting. I think the menu just disappeared. There you go. Let's just click and see what this one. It's called Airport Terminal Road. Okay, that's... I wonder if we will actually be able to find that. No. Unfortunately not. Okay, so we need a network with bus. And we could maybe do on this one, and we'll just say replace individual segment. And then we'll just need to change the direction, and that's fine. And we'll just replace this as well. And we will be upgrading. Oh, can I just use this one? I can. Okay, I can just upgrade without using the network replacer. So yeah, that's a little easier. That also means that I can make it a little brighter, because this is the older section of the airport, as we have discussed, and I'll just expand it a bit. And what I'd like to do is create like an old section that is still in use, of course. So we'll go about, let's see, we'll go about 4, and then we're going to go 4 down and swing south. And we'll do about the same over here. Go down by 4 and 4. And then I'm just going to reverse this. Like so. Because of course this is the initial terminal built a long time ago. This is an extension added years ago that is obviously has been renovated, as we've talked about. So this is the initial layout, and this was added afterwards, and they've chosen to keep this, because if you're just using the domestic terminals, then you don't really have a use for going in here. This also does complicate it just a bit, because it means that we'll need to make an interchange around here that kind of splits into these two. But I don't think it's going to be a big problem. With that in place, let's just branch out our highway network around here. And we'll go along the coast, as I said. Let's get some... we'll just start by... I've grabbed this section here, and I'll just start by going along the coast here. And it's of course going to be an elevated segment. At around 12 units. We'll go ahead and use our parallel mode to just create a parallel segment. And it looks like the alignment is perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and press enter. Clear up some trees. And it's time that we split this up so that we have a segment that goes underneath here. And I'm just trying to create like the rough parts right now, just to get an overall idea of how we want this to look. So it's definitely not finalized. gonna redo that. And I'll be... that's super wonky, but we can fix that up. Let's see if we can make like a super smooth curve here. And this node is gonna be very tricky to work with. I'm not even sure we can get this to work properly. Right, so with that initial connection created, maybe we can make the pavement a little darker on these segment here to showcase that it's actually it's brand new, right? Or it's newer at least than the other segments. So this is the extension that was added. This is like the original loop. So I'll also need to, I think I'm going to have to like lower this segment quite a bit because it doesn't have to be all this elevated. So I'll just lower it to this level here. And I'm going to, am I gonna do the same for this segment here? Yes, I think I am. Just lower it and then we'll just, we'll be adjusting everything that leads up to this. So this part here, we've got this new elevated stretch, and we're going to change this setup as well because I'm gonna have to disconnect this, and then I'll be, let's see if I can just create the right slope here. No, not slope, sorry. The right curvature here, like so. Then we can connect this up here because this is the new piece. So it makes sense to that we can like see that this is retrofitted afterwards. So we'll upgrade the tarmac to make it darker, and then we're gonna connect it in here. Yes, like so. And we will be making this one dark as well to showcase, or darker. Let's see, just go like this to showcase that this has been upgraded to a freeway segment to handle that we've now got these 4 lanes in total merging. And let's see if we can just get this to work. That's definitely like the first step. So we'll align this one to this one. That's better. We'll just try and get a good sloping, a good curvature here. Something like that I think is fine. We'll adjust the node here, of course, to make it all a more smooth connection. And we'll have to move this node back a bit. Like so. And then we'll have to upgrade this to an elevated segment, I feel. And make sure that the slope is perfect. There you go. So hopefully it looks like now that there was an initial 2-lane highway segment that stretched all the way over here. But now, given that an addition has been made here, this has been expanded to, of course, allow for this this merger. And then this is also new tarmac as well to have these 3 lanes. I also changed this ever so slightly so that it hopefully looks like this is the original stretch, and then this was just added on afterwards. If we move down to our interchange, then it's becoming like an infrastructurist signature move that I just create something. I don't really spend too much time thinking up, you know, how does it look exactly. I just build basically, and it's a lot of fun. And I feel that most of my interchanges turn out all right when I do it like that. Although some, as you guys can see, do need a bit of fidgeting afterwards to not be too wonky. And we really need to be careful of this rail line here. Of course, there needs to be ample clearance for that. But otherwise, I am pretty content with how things are looking. I'll just adjust this node to get the light out of the way. If you guys remember from many episodes back, this was like the original bridge to the island built in like the 40s or 30s or something. And we can see it kind of goes across the original railway tracks that are now only used for cargo transport. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this this interchange turned out. And one cool thing is I'm able to copy paste a lot of the markings that I've used for already having done this. So like for instance, this segment here where we go from 2 to 3, I can just copy paste that with ease. I say that, but it needs a bit of adjustment. There you go. And we can of course just make this even longer to make it more smooth. And I suppose we can copy paste that in over here as well, because it should be the same type. It is. So that's really nice with intersection marking tool, that once you have actually created these intricate detailed markings, then you are fortunately in a spot where you can just copy paste. So that's really nice. Just gonna go ahead and do that. And then something I like to do is just add some stain decals to cover up that the asphalt or tarmac is it's just a little too clean, as you guys can maybe see. So I just add a few of these, sprinkle them around the place, and you can always lower them a bit because that of course makes them look a little less intrusive. And there you go. We've got the airport very nicely covered up. I think something I'd like to do is just add okay, so that slope is actually pretty strong, but I'll just lower this ever so slightly so that we actually do get close to the water here. Make it almost like it's a scenic drive to the airport. Then of course we'll create the proper sloping as well. And we'll of course do it this way as well. There you go. Cool. And of course we'd like a train station as well. And I think I found a good fit. I've got this 4-track train station. It's an older asset by York. And I'd like to see if I can actually squeeze it in here. That would be really cool, in front of the original terminal, of course. And there used to be a train station here before as well, but it's just been renovated. Is probably what we're going for. And I'll just add like a small service road so that we can just attach it to that road instead. So we'll just go out like 2, then down here. Just need to align. There you go. Perfect. Let's see. Oof, this intersection here is a real mess. And we'll just add it so that it's right in front of the terminal. There you go. It's a pretty beautiful asset where we've got, you know, you go under the tracks, and there are plenty of tracks available. It might be a little too big. I'm not really sure that we would need this many tracks, but let's see. We would like to replace it not with this one, but with this segment here, I think. And the same over here, because we're not using electrified trains here in Coniferia. We're very old school, using diesel powered. Yeah, I know. We'll connect that up as well, and we'll just see where that makes sense. I guess the best idea would probably be to upgrade this freight rail line, but that is not going to work over here because they're not connected at all. So maybe, just maybe, we create like a lowered segment to cut in here. Couldn't that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Or is that just me? I think we're actually gonna turn parts of this into like a tunnel. So right now I'm just gonna get the connection going, and then I'll worry afterwards. So we'll do like this, and then we'll upgrade a couple of segments to tunnel pieces. And yeah, we can always reiterate on this and make it a little more fancy looking, but I think for now it's pretty important that we just get this whole thing created. And we'll just can I remove all the trees here? It is very pretty, but it's also a little intrusive. I'm trying to work. So we need to find some nodes down here and lower those nodes. And I can't because I'm not in tunnel mode. Very clever. Let's just select all these up and get them on the ground where they belong. Cool. We've got a node here that we could preferably lower as well. Don't want it sticking out too much, at least. And I don't know why I care to make a smooth curvature down here. I mean, it doesn't really matter because we're not gonna be seeing any of it, but yeah. I guess that's just me, and it is pretty cool to have like segments of the actual tunnel like stick out, because it's a very cool texture. Now we need to create a direct train line from Pine Harbour and from Port Douglas straight to the airport. So that's pretty exciting. Just gonna pause here. It's been a while since we've created a new train line, but we actually have a pretty fledged out like a train network here in the city. So that's pretty cool. So we'll just create one here that goes directly to Port Douglas Central Station. I excuse the lag for a bit. Actually, it's completely excessive right now, the lag, but it's because I haven't actually been in Port Douglas in this game session, and then it always lags a ton the first time around. So we're just gonna add that right in here, and people absolutely love that, so that's of course fantastic. Then we're going to go back and we are gonna complete the line. And let's just create another line, and no, let's just let's colorize this line and rename it. So we're gonna use a smaller commuter train to serve the airport, probably one of these generics from Flirt, or maybe even there's like a specific airport express train, which I think that's electrified though, so that's not really what we want. I want this Flirt generic, it's a smaller one. So we've got one with 4 cars and one with 5. I think we'll just go for the 5. Cool, and we'll call this, let's see, Port Douglas CIA. We'll just open it to ensure 3 vehicles is probably a bit too hefty, so we'll try with 2. And we'll see just how crazy it gets with it, but I hope 2 is okay. And we'll just make this the light blue line. Very nice. We're gonna create an additional line that we are going to connect up through the suburbs. So we are gonna have a stop here, and we are then gonna have the next stop in downtown Pine Harbour. I'm very sorry if it lags again. Yeah, it does. I'm very sorry about this, guys. I always need to like have a look at my cities when I start a game session. That's gonna reduce the lag. So I clicked and people really like that. We'll go back out to our big airport out here and complete the line. Now we don't need a line specifically for the like the big urban establishments or suburban sprawl rather in the northern part of Pine Harbour, because there is actually a line from Tagfield that goes into the downtown of Pine Harbour, but it also connects up at Danton. I'm pretty sure at least. Yeah, it does. We've got it here. So you can grab, if you're from Tagfield, which is a pretty sizable town, and you want to go to the airport, you can either connect at Danton or at downtown Pine Harbour, and you can then go straight to the airport. And it's this one, so we'll call this Pine Harbour. CIA. And this will be a generic 5 car as well. And we'll just be changing the color to like a yellow. And we are gonna want to have 2, maybe 2 vehicles as well here. And then let's see it all in action. And we've already got the very first train leaving for, let's see, Pine Harbour. Cool. And I do love this asset. It's an awesome model. And it's gonna snake its way along the coastline here. It's gonna pop out over here and it's gonna go to downtown Pine Harbour. So that's very nice. And that concludes the first in likely a small series of episodes depicting the creation of Coniferia International Airport. So I know the Let's Play style that I've used for this episode isn't everyone's cup of tea, but some of you actually prefer it, and it's very fun for me because it's quite challenging to kind of just put myself in the spot and having to just come up with things as we build, because I think that's how most of us actually build in this game. We don't do a crazy amount of pre-planning where everything is executed perfectly. We kind of just jump into it, and then we may, reiterate on it and change it as we move along, which is fine. But yeah, obviously lots of work needs to be done still. Haven't even added like pavement and asphalt to the airport. So lots of detailing, lots of stuff. We of course need massive parking lots. We need so much stuff for this to be complete, but that's gonna be for future episodes. So thank you for sticking with me for this long. I hope you found the episode enjoyable. I've at least found it very fun and challenging, and I'm so happy we've got it done. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.